and journalists.
This is dangerous.
Okay. Digital club. This is troubling, is it not?
I think that without doubt, the issue of galamsey is what you describe as a clear and present danger. At all material time, we need to appreciate that to win this war, it will require the collective efforts of all of us, be it civil society, those in government, those in opposition, traditional authorities, most importantly, and like what we are doing this morning,
the local communities,
the locals. You see, if we turn galamsey,
is doing it except the government.
if we turn galamsey into Accra conversation, it will remain Accra conversation, and that is what it will be. Why do I say so? We in Accra are even more concerned about the environmental impacts of galamsey than the people who are even drinking the polluted water. I grew up in communities where we go to the riverside, fetch water to cook, to drink, among others. That's how we grew up. Today, in most of our communities, you cannot drink that same water that has been used for generations simply because of a few greedy people. Recently, I listened to one of your colleague journalists make the point that he conducted an underground investigation. I think he's with Oiripa Paka.
But yes.
And he said, look, when he did this underground investigation in one of the communities in Ashanti region, he found out that the local pastor was involved, that the teacher was involved. Now they are using school kids, and in his words, Omo Yam Galano. They are the kids who help in grinding the sand or what have you. The local pastor,
they are not going to school.
They are not going to school. So it's affecting enrollment. The teacher in the community, who is supposed to be the one to lead, the local chief gets royalties directly paid to him. And so we sit here in Accra and say, look, the chief out there has this mind that the land belongs to us. Why should a minister in Accra be telling me who should come and mine there? Because obviously, if the state gets involved, the state will ensure strict compliance with regulations. But he has given it to the boys. Every month, it's like having a trotro. And at the end of every day, the trotro driver comes to do what? Give you sales. That is the kind of thing that is happening in our rural community. So we craft the beautiful narratives, the beautiful laws, the interventions, and then we go there and there is resistance. Look, all over the world, we do appreciate how successful has it been in fighting guerrilla warfare? I want to know, those with the expertise, how successful has it been in fighting? Because you see, the people who are armed and in this forest and what have you, they are not using conventional methods. They are doing their own thing. And that is why the minister, consistent with what he wants to do, said, look, the time has come that some areas must be declared security zones. And that once you map up those areas as security zones, then you can deal with them. Now, you see, I've been part of this conversation at a certain
level.
Looking at all the mechanism, because curiously, excavator doesn't use oxygen.
You supply them.
It uses something. So the discussion we are even having is at a different level, trying to know. But this also requires a certain level of intelligence.
See, at some point, a fuel station sort of was found in the heart of the forest.
Look,
Which falls with...
That's where I am coming. So the guys would now, what they are basically doing now is to create their own fuel stations.
In the forest.
Deep forests. So what we are doing, regrettably, is that we have turned the conversation into a KPI, more or less, for a government. And because we have turned it into a KPI for a government, right, the people out there feel that they are detached from government. And so they are living in their own kind of country. Look, this morning, Nymos went to one of the eastern region towns, just on the Kumasi main road, arrested 32 people. Out of the 32, only 5 were Ghanaians.
This morning.
Only 5 were Ghanaians. The rest are Nigerians. So again,
insurgents.
that again, buttresses the point that Mr. Kofi Benton makes about the galamsey fight having taken an international outlook, where in this case, our West African neighbors, the Burkinabes, the Nigerians, the Ivorians, are now coming into Ghana. The nature of advocacy in Ghana is a bit different from the case in Ivory Coast. So you don't have a lot of Ivorians coming into ours because there's more sunshine here. Just by the Ivorian border, the next community, there is a whole mining, galamsey going on. I mean, if you are in the aeroplane and you are just about descending into the Ivorian capital, what's the name? Abidjan. You see how polluted the water body is. Simply because the level of advocacy we have here in Ghana, that is not the case in Ivory Coast. You see, I want us to maybe do a bit of a reverse in terms of framing. By the time President Mahama took over the leadership of this country on January the 7th, and today, this government had ensured that not less than 500 shamfines have completely been destroyed. I ask a simple question. What would have been the state of affairs with that 500 shamfines on our water bodies? Alfred, assuming that this government didn't do anything at all and allowed the 500 shamfines to be on our water bodies, what would have been the state of our environment today? That is when you begin to appreciate efforts. That is when you begin to appreciate results. 2, by the time today, over 1,000 water pumping machines have completely been taken from the galamseyers, redistributed to district assemblies, among others. Into the question of political will. Immediately, I felt my sister, Awula Sewa, has not really been fair to President Mahama.
Why is that?
And I'll come there. I appreciate her advocacy, and I respect her for that. But a president comes to office and finds that his predecessor, under his watch, the Ministry of Environment and Science, together with EPA, sponsored an airline, which airline specifically gave the President of the Republic the authority and mandate to grant a mining lease and permit to mine in a forest reserve. That is what happened before. President Mahama, with the benefit of power, the first thing that he did within the first 3 months was to have that portion that gave the president the authority to enter into our forest reserve. He said, remove that portion. I have no personal interest in any mining. I don't need it. How is that not political will? What's the meaning of political will? The last time I checked, it's a decision by a politician or whatever it is to take a decision. That willingness is what culminated in President Mahama saying, I don't need it. And today, as we speak, under the watch of President Mahama, has he issued any mining lease to mine in any of our forest reserve? You say, please, that 35 mining lease, let us not confuse issue. Were mining leases that were issued by January 2025. By January 2025.
January, you mean before he assumed office as president?
Within the month of January 2025.
When he was president.
Please, he took over when?
January
7th.
Yes.
Prior to that, who was there?
No, but we say
So please.
within the month.
No.
of January,
What I want you to know, I have seen the narrative out there.
That's why I'm
and
asking the
attempt to
question.
create the impression that under the watch of President
January
Mahama.
2025.
But first of all, let's clarify two things. A mining lease in and of itself is not a crime. We agree.
That is true. I don't agree. The morality.
Okay.
No, hold on,
is
please.
the
No,
morality
let's
that-
stagger the conversation. A mining lease in and of itself, is it a crime?
No, I don't agree.
Wait.
There's a point of
Two.
disagreement.
Yes, I agree. He says he disagrees. So what it means is that, to his view, every mining lease is a crime.
No, I didn't say that.
So what's the point
you
of
are
disagreement?
confusing me.
When
I asked, you see, senior, maybe.
I mean, ask the question.
Let's stagger. I asked the question.
Under the circumstance,
Every
it is
mining lease.
immoral.
Morally,
It is immoral to the extent.
No, we have moved the conversation to morality.
I'm explaining, yes.
Let's appreciate the morality conversation. But I want to say that a mining lease in and of itself does not constitute an offense. It is subject to what it is used for, correct? Now, in this specific case, our laws do not prescribe the issuance of mining lease, particularly when it is not in a forest reserve. Now, what the airline in the past was doing, and everybody appreciates. Hold on, please.
Gentlemen.
Let me make my point. What everybody appreciates, that airline was specifically done because at that time President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had a personal interest in mining in the Etiwa forest. That's a fact. You know it. You know it.
So what
Please hold on.
Since he is
At the time that airline came, giving the president that authority and mandate because President Akufo-Addo at that time had a personal interest in getting mining done in the Etiwa forest. That was it.
And those who don't
President
have personal
Mahama
interest,
came.
they are also giving leases.
Calm down. President Mahama came and said, look, I have no such interest. And for that matter, that authority and mandate I have under the airline to issue mining permit in forest reserve, I want that revoked. And same was done. 2, today as we speak, we have before our parliament an airline to revoke this particular airline entirely with no exception. That is forward march. That is progress. If that were to be the case, even 2-3 years ago, would we be having this conversation? Have we not moved forward? Yes, we have. Has there not been specific targeted achievements? Yes, there had been. That is what a government is supposed to do. Now, people say, what is the result?
Yes.
I'm surprised that lawyers are the ones making this claim that what is the result?
Of course,
What
when we are
exactly?
interested
Why
in
are
what
you
exactly
no? So
environmental-
hold on. My two colleague lawyers have made the fight looks as an event.
No.
Is the fight an event?
No.
I'm surprised that you.
We have discussed this.
No, hold on,
for-
senior
we have discussed this.
Apiakubi. I am really surprised
Why are you surprised?
that even you,
Yes.
when you claim that your efforts in your small jurisdiction constituency, what were the challenges you faced, even in your small?
We don't discount.
No,
the
please,
extent of the
please.
challenge.
Today, we applaud you that as a member of parliament, at least you took some initiatives, even at personal risk,
Yes.
to the point that even some of your NPP people who contested you in their primaries used that against you in the primaries.
Yes. So
I'm saying
Can I
that,
stop
but
that?
at least you put in the effort. Did you you eradicate galamsey in your small community?
No, I expected.
No,
it
hold on, senior. Let's
Okay.
stagger
No, in my
the
time,
What a
yes.
roundup. Yes.
good. But I'm saying that just when the matters have come up, look, by 2024, right by the roadside in Konongo,
Konongo is not being jurisdiction.
I'm not saying it is.
Okay.
We saw people mining just by the roadside. I am just saying this morning, and I want to submit that President
Talk to us, Auntie Achim, no.
President
When you want to reference
Mahama,
me.
President Mahama has specifically put in place some interventions, which interventions are yielding results. Have we gotten to the point where we will say we have achieved what we have set out to do? Certainly no. Can we do more? Yes. I have listened to Abdullah make the point about the lack of political will translating in lack of resources.
For NIMOS, he says,
NIMOS.
if you have the political will, and I want you to run up on this one, if you have the political will, why set up NIMOS, which Kofi Bento says is by far, one of the most potent interventions, or the only potent intervention. You set up
That's the
NIMOS,
point.
and you don't give it the resources to execute its mandate. Where lies the commitment and the political will? End on this point. Gentlemen, please.
So you see, it will be completely disingenuous for anybody to say that NIMOS has not been resourced. Do they need more resources? Yes. But any suggestion, even remotely, that NIMOS has not been resourced is completely disingenuous.
What do you mean? What exactly do you mean by that?
I say this because I am privy to things that have happened. The issue of NIMOS was deliberated upon at cabinet. Funding for it provided. But you see, I say this, Ankobra alone is 190 kilometers. That's the stretch of Ankobra. If you have to get even a camp for NIMOS at the Ankobra, to police the Ankobra, 190 kilometers every day to and fro. I'm sure if you get the vote from BOG to even fund that operation, you will still need funding. So I agree and I concede that we need more funding for the operations of NIMOS. But it cannot be said that there had not been any resource. In any case,
she didn't say that.
Please hold on.
She said
NIMOS,
that
Not enough resources.
support, financial
what kind of
resources.
support?
Look, and you yourself.
I speak to Colonel Boa as and when it becomes necessary on this conversation. And I know other conversations going on to ramp up funding for NIMOS. In fact, the budget that will be read on the 13th of November, NIMOS will feature prominently in it. These are all interventions. I am aware
So
that even gold board.
as a country, we
Hold
have
on,
the
please.
resource
Okay,
enough
please,
to-
gentlemen.
Even gold
Well, I need to move
board,
on
even
to
gold
Arthur
board,
Kennedy quickly.
not too long ago, intervened even with cars. I'm aware that not long
I
ago,
reference that.
EPA itself had purchased a lot of very, very powerful vehicles for their operations. what government is doing is to ramp up as much resources for this operation.
Okay.
President Mahama will not, with respect, pretend by saying, I am putting my presidency on the line. And after his tenure, gets implicated in the events of galamsey. That is not the kind of political rhetoric President Mahama wants to engage in. He definitely appreciates the enormity, the dangers associated. What action?
Okay.
You are the last person I expect on this conversation on action.
Okay.
Because you have served in a government that just left office barely a few months ago. And so I will not. Maybe the lesson. Senior. At this point, you cannot. At this point, you cannot put yourself in a Pontius Pilate. You cannot put yourself in a Pontius Pilate situation. At least you were in that government. You were even a member of parliament. You had a say.
So we don't have.
You could have tabled the question. You could have tabled the question on the floor to find out what your government. Relative to look at the Frimpong Boateng. No, I won't take that from you because we saw the Frimpong Boateng report.
And I was part of it. Was I implicated?
No, I didn't say you were. I am saying that you've been part of that.
The responsibility rests with government.
President Mahama has taken up the initiative. He's doing everything to resource NIMOS. Like this morning, I just told you, NIMOS just destroyed a set of activities.
This is it. This is what happened.
Absolutely. So, this morning, how are you saying that this is not effort?
So
how are you saying this is not result?
So this has not happened before.
So this is what.
Let's move on.
Let's
what form do you want the fight to take now? Maybe the only thing that President Mahama has not done so far is to implement the shoot to kill. That's the only thing that you people have suggested.
Okay, thank you. Now, you see that indeed
just this morning,
Nigerians, Burkinabes, Ivorians, Malians, all arrested in these swoops.
Billions of people.
Mr. Beto, I'll come to you on this point of disagreement that you held and the position Edujita Maklo made earlier. Now, Dr. Kennedy, listening to all the interventions put in place, and then also, yes, and then also what has happened this morning, the latest NIMOS interventions, and then also the EPA's own experience. I'm talking about the Environmental Protection Agency's own experience.